Hi, comic book fans, and welcome to suddenlycomics.com video. It's a Monday night. It's the price variance. I am back from traveling, and Alan and I are back to doing what we do best, which is reviewing the Silver Age comic market by looking at the top sales on Heritage in the previous week. Alan has, as usual, put together a great list, especially designed to annoy me, having returned from holiday. To be fair to him, he's just picked the top 10 sales at Heritage. It just so happens that two of my favorite comics are on it. Right. Okay. So without further ado, let's crack on and go and have a look at the first comic on our list. And it's a usual suspect. Journey into Mystery, number 83, first appearance of the Man with the Hammer.
Yeah, this one I actually think sold for a good price.
Okay.
Just based on in the previous video, I was talking about per point concepts.
Yeah.
This one I always think of as being like around 2,000 per point.
Okay, so it should have gone for 9,000 then.
Yeah,
And it
did.
It went for 9,000. Okay.
So it's like
Alan's,
right on what I would have expected.
let's hope this is that's on the.
I know but at one point in my mind, it was a 3,000 per point. So just so you know, I have like in my mind two values, and the reason I have that other value is that's the kind of the COVID time.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. He's swinging his hammer. He's got falling aliens coming out of some alien spaceship. If you're gonna bring a mythological character, North mythological character to comics, then what you want is aliens falling from a spaceship, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so how did this do? Is Alan right? Is this a good price? Sort of.
Yeah. I mean, they say it's FMV is 10,000, but I never go by that.
No. If you look at the the last sale was 10.8, Alan. So this is down.
Oh, actually, it's down. Wow.
So this is 9. The last sale was 10.8. The one before that was 9. So it's gone 9, 10.8, 9.
Yeah. And actually, it was up to like 2021, it was like 13.
Yeah.
So again, I do think this is a 2,000 per point book. That's what's in my mind. I'm sticking with it. You'll notice the census is a little bit low on this one comparatively to
2.5. Yeah, because it's not a number one, is it? It's Journey 83.
Well, and it's not like one where people could predict, oh, there's this new character that's going to be something, and it was an anthology series before this.
Yes.
Right. So this is just some random new character that could be just another one and done kind of character.
Yeah, and Thor has appeared in various comics previous to this, not this version of Thor, but
yeah, where he was just sort of a one and done, not really.
Yeah.
So this probably wasn't saved as much as some of the other comics of the era.
No.
But definitely a cool one. So I think it is now at that $9,000, like, again, 2,000 per point price range.
Yeah.
Like, actually, can we like see like a 2.0?
A 2.0.
I find 2.0s are kind of a good book to look at. It's like sort of that. Usually there's a bit of price compression around the 2.0s, so it's a nice one to look at.
So the last sale was 5,400.
So actually, that's more than 2,000 a point.
Yeah, and that's up from 4,160. So it's done it.
So
the 2.0.
So the 4,160, that would have been more in line with what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And so this one. So usually, what happens at the low grades, especially in these key books, you get a bit of a overvalued pricing because people are just desperate to get in, and it's the cheapest one that they can get. Like you'll even notice like 0.5s are kind of probably similar to price to that. You know what I mean? Like so it's a good one. I'm just curious. It seems like it's kind of recovering as well. So this one is like getting back to that It's on the trend line, I should say.
Yeah, I think again we're seeing it. We're seeing the long-term trend holding good, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Here we go. Now here we are. Amazing. Hello, old friend. I haven't seen you for a month or so.
This
Here
one's a
we
little rough, by the way.
amazing. He does look a bit rough. Amazing. He looks a bit faded.
That's
Amazing.
what I'm saying, faded. It's not a pretty copy.
It's not a pretty.
This is the one where I think it's 3,000 a point.
Yeah,
So this is well under what I'm
well, if
thinking.
it is, it's off trend. I don't like
Very
this
much.
copy. I don't like this copy at all.
Yeah, for a 4 or 5, you kind of want the colors to be a bit better. I mean, it
Oh,
looks
look at all this here.
and the chipping is that's the problem with these Amazing Spider-Man. Like in AF-15s are horrible for marble chipping.
That is not nice.
So this is, Spider-Man's first comic, titled comic. It's got the first appearance of the Chameleon and first appearance of Jonah Jameson as well.
Hmm. Well, let's see how it's done. I think this might not have done too well because of this particular issue, because I don't think people like these faded colors.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, if you're spending 9,000, you want it to present well.
Yeah. Oh
Mhm.
dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. This is still downtrending.
Yeah. So remember, I was thinking it should be at that $3,000 a point. If
Yeah.
you look at the price, that FMV, it's more than that $3,000 per point.
Yeah, but if you look at the last 30 days, the average sale 9,300. So,
So it's now at that $2,000 per point.
um,
Wow.
but the problem with that graph, Alan, is that if you say where the trend is my friend, where is this going?
I think it's still going down to dollar bin. But
Many of these are
that is a really rough trend line. The trend line is not there's no steady state on this one.
the pre-COVID price. It's below pre-COVID.
Wow.
So it's
That
not
is
even on
pretty
a
bad.
trend. It's below pre-COVID. Why is this
Wow.
why is this doing so badly, Alan?
Okay, well, let's look at the number on how many on the census. There's 4,000, almost 5,000 on the census, almost. Um, I have no idea. I mean, I think though, to be fair, to like the issue, not the actual copy that we're looking at. I think the copy itself, people are being a little bit harsh on. Because if you get that faded look, well, like if we look at can we look at a different 4 or 5 that sold recently?
Hmm.
Maybe one that has sharper colors. Let's see if people are just saying, oh, I'm not buying the grade, I'm buying the book. You know, it looks like actually that's the same book. It's like, is that the same book?
Oh, okay, but it's on there
No,
twice.
no, that one looks like the colors are better, actually.
No, that's a better one.
Yeah. Okay. So let's scroll down. Does it look like, or is it the same book?
No, it's not. Well, it's not the same book.
Okay. So how much did that one sell for example?
That's sold. Well, it was on a buyer pay. It's one of these where there was an offer. So it was an eBay.
Oh, best offer. Oh, so you'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
So it's probably
Less than
sold for
less than
9,000 something.
10,000. But
Yeah.
it looks a lot. It's still got all this chipping, but the colours are slightly brighter.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the Human Torch there, but okay. Hmm. So I'd be curious if it's really people being a bit harsh on this one particular copy of Amazing Spider-Man.
Well,
Uh,
no, the trend line is not suggesting that, Alan.
yeah, yeah, you're right. I'm trying to find some reason for it, but it is
I mean, that
just,
sale is on trend line, and the trend line is down.
yeah. And it could be the case that this goes down to like
Mm,
$8,000.
yeah, could well do. That hasn't.
And if it gets to that point, buy. It's just like that's a
But
steal at that
when we,
point.
we we were discussing earlier, if you're wanting to raise money from your collection, you're going to sell the bigger value items.
Yes.
This is going to be one of the bigger value items in your collection, isn't it? And you are going to be
Yeah.
able to sell it. You might only get 9,000 instead of 12,000, but you'll still get your 9,000 quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, there's certain books that you can, if you ever need to get money quickly, you can always take an ASM book and flip it for cash pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it's fairly liquid.
Um,
It might not
very
be,
liquid. Yeah,
might not get your money back, but you will be able to get some money for it quite quickly.
yeah. But it looks like this is not the time to do that with this particular book.
No. But I think
And,
I think that affects some of these books because some people will want some cash and they'll go, okay, I might have paid 12,000 for this 2 years ago, but I need the money and I'm just going to take it on the chin and take a $3,000 loss.
yeah, you know what we should look at? Okay, so there's a bunch of factors that I was thinking about. You look at the last three sales, you look at the trend lines. Another thing that we can look at in terms of how to figure out what's happening with this book is looking at the frequency. So when I'm dealing with Golden Age, I'm dealing with maybe the book comes up every 7 years.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well,
So
how often has this
okay, so this is a
4.5 come?
4.5. This has come up one, two,
Right.
three, four, five, six, seven, eight, about 10 times in the year.
Yeah. So so is it being flooded onto the market is my thought. If it's being flooded onto the market, then maybe, and that's just in a 4.5.
Yeah, that's
You
just
know,
what's one
so
grade. Yeah.
so my point is, like, if a whole bunch of copies are coming to the market, that could artificially deflate the book because people think, oh, okay, it's common. I don't have to pay up for it because I'm going to get the next train that's
Well,
going to
that's an
come.
interesting point, Alan, because if I say how many copies of these came up in May, one, two, three, four, five, there have been 5 copies of this in a four,
In
five
the
in a single month.
Yeah, yeah. So if you think about that, that's the whole year up till to now was 10 copies, and half of those were just in May.
Yeah,
So it's been flooded onto the market basically.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I like to figure, I'm always like a analytic kind of person. So I like to figure out these kind of unusual patterns.
Yeah, if you're going to put something on the market, you want to put one on when there hasn't nobody's sold one for 2 years.
What exactly? Yeah. And I think what's happening is people are flooding the market and it's killing the price.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, not good for the ASM one. Let's have a look at this one. Let's move on to a DC. This is the first DC we've had this week, Alan.
Now, this is a harder book to flood the market with.
Yes, this is a genuinely rare book.
Yeah.
This is Showcase
Um,
3, the first for Silver.
Now for Silver Age Flash, yeah. And it's the book that actually marks the Silver Age. Like, if most people consider this to be the very first comic of the Silver Age.
Yeah,
Um,
meets quite well with your Werther's original as well, isn't it? Your Werther's
yeah,
Dissident Timing.
like this is one of those books that I think as being around $6,000 a point.
Right.
So I can tell you right now it's down.
Let's have a look. What grade was it? 3.
Three, yeah, three.
Oh, here we go. It's not down, Alan.
Okay, it's maybe five thousand
Yeah,
dollars.
this is not. This is not.
I
This
thought
is,
it was around 6,000 a point. I thought it was
no,
higher. I thought it
no,
was a bigger
no,
sale.
this is that's healthy. Look at that. No dip.
No dip. Okay, so
That's nearly. It's
that
nearly. It's
I'm glad I'm wrong on this one. I like to be wrong when it's on a book I like.
it's not quite at its record, but look at this. This is very rare. There's no dipperoo here. This is
So
just
remember when I was talking about inflation? That purple line shows what the inflated price would be.
yeah, which is
Um,
almost spot on it. Right. I think that's very healthy. This is the difference.
yeah,
You see, I think the big difference out here, Alan, is here. This number
well,
here.
this is what you were talking about earlier
Yeah.
with scarcity being a factor.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Nobody's flooding
And-
the market with showcase fours because there's
yeah,
600 worldwide. Um,
yeah,
you know, how often?
yeah. It's not like you're going to see this like on the market like 20 times in a month or something.
No. So Alan, the last time this sold was 3 years ago. Uh,
Yeah.
so you know, if you
And
want,
that's during the height of COVID, right?
yeah,
And then it's gone up since then.
yeah,
So that's a good sign.
yeah. But it's to do with the scarcity number.
Yeah. Also, one of the weird things about COVID was DC books really didn't get the love. There was a few that did, but not all of them.
Yeah, largely they didn't go loopy.
Yeah. I think maybe that's because DC collectors are a little different than Marvel collectors. Marvel collectors are all about hype. They go a little crazy on the hype. And DC collectors are much more thoughtful in terms of the types of books they buy and how much they're willing to spend. And usually that's why the prices are much lower on DC keys, comparatively.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's a very strong. I'm okay. So I got to replant the number in my
Yeah,
mind.
you've got to put your different number in your head because it was wrong.
So so this is like just under $5,000 a point, just under.
Just under.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so now I got that in my head, and I'll remember that for the next time.
So there we go. A comic that hasn't dropped.
Okay.
Oh, now this historically has been one of the Marvel comics.
It's been one of the few bright points for Marvel.
It has, yes. Uh,
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk number one in a 3-0.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at it.
And I don't really have a per point price in my head for this one, so
Well, it's
even though I should.
down a bit. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, actually, a nice presenting 3-0.
Yeah,
For it's
yeah.
solid.
Sold for 15,600. I'd have to tell you though, I would prefer
Mhm.
to have the last one than this. If I was given a choice, I'd have gone for that DC.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, but this is one of my favorite Marvel keys,
Yeah,
just because it's another semi-rare one.
yeah, it is. There's only about 3,000 of these, isn't there? Let's have a look. Am I right?
Yeah, I think it's 2000 actually.
2,000. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Well, it's
It's very shaky. It's
well,
all over the place.
last three sales,
Okay.
10, 8, 14, and 15, 6.
So this is the highest of those last three sales.
And this one was the 15, 6. So yes, the this is downy, but that 15, 6 isn't on there. That'll be up here, back up here.
Yeah, and then what's the pre-COVID price? I mean, it
Yes, the
looks like it's
pre-COVID is there, isn't it? May 20 at
and for 9,000.
9. Yeah, so this is done okay. Yeah.
It's done okay. I
Yeah,
mean,
this
this
is
is
one of this, yeah, I would say even with inflation, that's probably on trend. So
yeah. So I mean, okay, so that's a good sign. So it looks like a bit of a like if you look at the curve on this one, it looks still like it's like on the downward trend, but this last sale kind of goes against that trend.
yeah,
Um, so that's good. I mean, the ones that we were looking at before for Hulk 1 were much higher grades, and those were kind of holding their own and actually improving. Um, but yeah, these lower grade ones, I guess, didn't perform as well.
yeah. And
But still,
I'm afraid I'm back to this number here. This is, I think that's compared to some of the bigger, the ASM ones and the Avengers, this is a relatively low count.
yeah, I mean, it's about half.
Yeah, yeah,
Usually, Marvel ones seem to be around that 5,000 number, 3 to 5,000, and this is like two. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, it is a lot more difficult to find. Like there's certain books, like if you say, oh, okay, how quickly could I get a certain book, like ASM 1? Well, I could get that. Like if I wanted to get an ASM 1, I could get one today.
Yeah,
Hulk,
yeah,
Hulk 1, maybe it might take me a few weeks to find one. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's not as gettable as some of the other ones.
Well,
Even
there's been 3 copies this month.
I know. So it is a bit flooded onto the market comparatively. Like how does that compare to historical? Like how many sold in April, for example?
Well, none sold in April, three sold in March.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's well, again, it does look as if people might be trying to shift some of the higher value stuff to raise cash.
Yeah. So that I mean that would be something that I don't know, it'd take a lot of analysis to do to sort of figure out what historically happened with this book, how many copies came to market compared to how many copies are coming to market nowadays. It'd be that'd be kind of a cool analysis to do where you could see, is it the case that we're getting that flood of the market and what is that doing to the price of the book? I don't know, bit
Yeah.
of extra analysis that one could do.
Right. Okay. On to the last book for this. Does anybody like to have a guess what it might be?
Yeah,
You guessed right. It is
yeah.
Amazing Fantasy 15. Uh,
Now this one I can tell is down.
okay.
Um, Already in my mind, this is a 10,000 per point book.
Right. So it's a 4-0. Uh,
A nice presenting 402, by the way.
this is rarer than ASM1.
Not much, but yeah, pretty. But actually, this one is really nice
Nice.
for
Yeah.
finding a ASM or sorry, Amazing Fantasy 15 with no Marvel chipping
Yeah.
is almost impossible.
Yeah.
This one is really nice.
Nice copy. Yeah, I agree. Nice 4-0. And let's see how it's done.
So this
Uh,
is saying 9,000 per point.
well, so if you take the last four sales, December 41,000, earlier this month 34, 35,000, and this one at 36. So
Yeah, so it's probably shifted. So it used to be around 10,000 per point. Now it's going to be around 9,000 per point.
I have to say this has been around this sort of level for a year.
I mean, it looks like a little bit of a up thing.
A little bit, a little bit. It's stopped falling, hasn't it? If you
Yeah,
take November 2022 is the low price, it's held above that.
for consistently, yeah. But that peak is kind of scary to see.
Yeah. So
But
if you want to buy a Spidey book, go and buy Amazing Fantasy 15, not an Amazing Spider-Man 1. It's my advice.
yeah, so I mean, this one, yeah, I see what I'm saying. It has like, almost, it has 3,000 copies on the census.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this book is not that hard to find.
No,
And how many sales? We were doing this for the other two books. Let's see, how many sales were there for this book this month?
two.
Okay,
But
so
but
not,
but previous to that, there was no sales all year. So other than those two, the last sale was in December last year.
so a little less frequent. And that's
Yeah, so
always good
during the
for
whole
holding
of
value.
2023, only three copies sold in this grade.
Yeah, so with it being less frequent onto the market,
Yeah,
it can hold the value a bit better.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
how many of these are there? There can't be many of them. 231
well,
of them. Yeah, okay.
yeah. I mean, I don't know, every auction has Amazing Fantasy 15 in it. So yeah, it's for me, like I see it as like a common book just because I see it every week. And I try not to put it on the list every week, but it is one of those books that kind of symbolic for the market in general. But yeah, I don't know. I was curious about this one. So I have to correct my price in my head for this one
So
down
what do I
from
think? Having had 6 weeks absent, I think the market still hasn't made its mind up where it's going yet.
Mhm.
There's still a bit down, look at that Amazing Spider-Man, it's still trending down. Quite a lot of the others are on what I'd call the long-term trend, and
Yeah.
holding there, which is encouraging. So maybe
I
that's where
think
we
this is
are
on
at.
that too,
Maybe we're back to the long-term trend line.
which would be great. I think that would be a huge success for the market.
Yeah.
But again, back to that just pestering idea that I had about overall inflation, then it might mean that we've
Reset a bit.
kind of reset a little bit below what the
Yeah.
historical trend lines are.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think impacts the market is that comic collectors will look at that historical trend line and sort of bid accordingly, right? And what could happen is that they're basically undervaluing the books. Nobody wants to overpay for a book, but because everyone's sort of using that trend line to judge whether or not they're overpaying, they could actually be underpaying like right across the board. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think the other thing that's not being taken into account here, Alan, is the whatnot market. So
Okay.
because I've been quite active in whatnot over the
Yeah.
last 3 years. The whatnot sales don't show on here at all on
Yes, of course not.
on any of these.
Yeah, you only get the major auctions, eBay, Heritage,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
Golden and those
yeah,
ones on
yeah.
here.
But the amount of comics that are being sold on whatnot now is quite high. So,
Okay.
there was one of the YouTube channels, Bronzeville, was doing this analysis of how many comics had sold.
Okay.
And he was saying, "Oh, we've got a reduction in the total amount of comics sold." And he was, I commented, "Well, yeah, but yeah, in the last 3 years, you've had the increase. You've got the whatnot come in, and those sales are not recorded, so they're bound to
Yeah.
have taken sales away from the traditional channels." Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I mean, that could happen where you basically are underestimating the amount of activity just because you're not looking at the whole market. You're just looking at the traditional
Yeah,
market.
but you're not selling £36,000 worth of amazing fantasy on whatnot, so probably doesn't affect these type of books. But when you get into the sort of two, three, $400 books, then they are selling quite a lot of those on what.
So whatnot, like whenever I think of whatnot, I think of the dollar bid and bin kind of level stuff. I think of the cheaper stuff.
Yeah,
Now, do you see a lot of the $300 to $400 books selling there?
some of
Or
them you do on some of the US whatnot channels. You do see certain books which will move. You very rarely see high-priced Silver Age and Golden Age stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but you do see some Bronze Age keys shifting quite a lot.
And there's one other place that I feel like has really come around in the last like 2, 3 years is Instagram.
Yeah,
The Instagram claim sales
yeah,
are, there's a whole bunch of them every week.
yeah,
And you will see really big books.
yeah. I know you purchase from Instagram claim sales.
Quite often actually, and I
Yeah,
buy I buy big books.
yeah, yeah. And generally, whenever you talk to me about it, you're paying way less than you would have paid on Heritage
Yeah.
or
Well, it's
eBay.
that buyer's premium. So like the good thing about buying from Instagram is the sellers know that if they normally would take that book onto Heritage, that they're paying that huge premium, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So they almost give you that value back.
yeah, yeah,
They almost say, okay, we'll split the difference, and then they're still making their money, and then you're getting a deal at the same time, right? So I'm seeing that a lot happening. Also, the same happens with compared to eBay. That if you buy it through Instagram, well, you're not paying all those fees that you do on eBay.
yeah,
So I'd love if we could get the whole, that whole picture, the whatnots, the Instagrams, all these minor auction houses, and the private sales that happen. It'd be really cool to see what the actual market is,
yeah,
but we're only looking at a very small amount of the market.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's still an interesting analysis, and I think it does give you an overall trend, certainly for the top end of the market.
Mhm.
Right, that is enough of us wittering on and chattering. Um, we'll be back next week with another analysis of the Silver Age market. Until then, see ya.